The news day continues here on One News Now. I'm Sean Yao. One agriculture group is warning that the prices of rice could shoot up further in the coming months. Philippine Chamber of Agriculture and Food President Danilo Fausto told the big story that prices of imported rice could become more expensive by up to 4 pesos per kilo. Recall that Bloomberg reported about rice prices in Asia soaring to their highest level since 2008 on the back of global supply issues. It also doesn't help that recently, Thailand has been hounded by production issues and that India has imposed a rice export ban. In turn, Fausto called on the government to boost local rice supply by providing support to increase the rice output of Visayas and Mindanao.
If you notice, last first quarter of this year, ang Western Visayas has planted more areas of palay than Central Luzon. And yet, the Western Visayas is producing a yield of 65 kabans per hectare, while Central Luzon and the Cagayan Valley is producing 120 to 130 kabans, double that of Western Visayas. If we can increase the yield of the Visayas area and Mindanao, it can increase our supply of rice, and we might not need to import rice in the first place.
And indeed, rice is getting more expensive by the day here in the Philippines because of the steady increase in palay prices. In just 1 month, the price of imported rice has increased by 7 pesos a kilo from 40 to 58 pesos per kilo last month. It's now selling for 45 to 65 pesos a kilo. On the other hand, local rice prices have jumped by 6 pesos, which means that 1 kilo of the staple could go for as much as 55 pesos. Some rice millers are not optimistic about cheaper rice anytime soon, with palay prices going for as high as 39 pesos a kilo.
Na nambentahan sa ganitong lean months, ngayon lang nangyari yung ganyang kataas. Ang pinagbabasihan ng pagtaas ng palit ng bigas natin dito sa Pilipinas, yung tinanggal ng gobyerno, yung buffer stock natin sa NFA. Kaysa ngayon na nagbabasi ang presyo ng bigas at palay natin sa imported. Napakataas ng imported ngayon. Kaya doon sumusunod.
And as for the computation of the Federation of Free Farmers, 1 kilo of rice could even breach the 60 to 66 peso mark. That is if the country fails to replenish its grain supply. Despite this grim projection, President Bongbong Marcos has assured that the Philippines has enough buffer stock to last until next year. Marcos Jr. is the concurrent secretary of the Department of Agriculture.
Hindi dapat natin in-speculate yung mga ganyan na bagay kasi marami ang effect sa ating mga kababayan. So, but sa nakikita natin, sapat.
In other news, one overseas Filipino worker, or OFW, has shared his experiences as wildfires engulfed parts of Hawaii. Michael Ramit is a senior helicopter mechanic on the island. He says that the flights of firefighting helicopters there have been suspended due to multiple wildfires. Ramit said that there is a Filipino community in Lahaina, Maui, where the fire started. Filipinos comprise about 15% of Hawaii's population. The Philippine consulate in Honolulu had earlier assured that they are monitoring the situation on the island and will prioritize the safety of its citizens.
Balik, wag ka na lang papasok na o uwi sa inyo baka kasi may mga sunog pa ngayon sa mga multiple areas. Mag-ingat lang at saka yung sa radyo mayroong mga location na sinasabi na wag pumunta doon, mga kalsada, wag daanan.
We have more stories for you after this quick break. Keep it here on One News. You're still watching One News Now. I'm Sean Yao. The combined wealth of Filipino tycoons have gone up to $80 billion. That is according to the 2023 Forbes list of the 50 richest in the Philippines. The C siblings of SM are still on top of the pack with a combined net worth of $14.4 billion. They are followed by property tycoon Manny Villar with $9.7 billion and ports tycoon Enrique Razon Jr. with $8.1 billion. San Miguel President and CEO Ramon Ang moved up 5 spots to number 4, with his wealth now pegged at $3.4 billion. Taking the 5th spot is Tony Tancactiong of Jollibee with a net worth of $3.2 billion. Meanwhile, the Aboitiz family is 6th on the list with $3.15 billion, followed by Lance Gokongwei and his siblings at $3 billion. Isidro Consunji and his siblings, Jaime Zobel de Ayala and Lucio Tan, round up the top 10 list. Moving on to another story, the DOST, or the Science and Technology Department, says that dredging is only a band-aid solution to flooding. DOST Secretary Renato Solidum agreed with President Bongbong Marcos that dredging is not a permanent fix and can only work for a while if done right. Instead, Solidum is pushing for a water impounding system in Central Luzon, specifically in the flood-prone area of Candaba in Pampanga.
Dapat maayos din yung drainage management mo, yung slope protection. Kasi otherwise, yung bilis ng pagdeposito ng buhangin at putik ay mas mabilis kaysa bilis ng pagdedredge. Umauli ng mas malapat.
Yung mega dike.
Until naging mega dike siya. But if you look at the history, lumapat yung dike because indeed, hindi ma-accommodate
Yung
lahar na pupunta. So in like manner, we have to also look at the history of what happened during Pinatubo with what is happening now. Na talagang you need to control the large volume of water to be draining down right away. Kailangan mong i-manage yung pag-release. That's why the President mentioned the importance of the water impounding basin. More areas will be saved rather than not having
the water impounding.
Let's now take a quick look at today's other top stories. A 15-year-old boy was found dead by the roadside in Santa Maria, Bulacan after getting shot in the head. The boy named Justin had asked to sleep in his uncle's house nearby but failed to return home. The incoming grade 10 student who dreamed of becoming a policeman was found by tricycle drivers in the area. Police are still determining the identity of the suspect and the motive for the shooting. And the call for justice continues for the family of Jemboy Baltazar, another teenager who was murdered, this time in Navotas. Reports claim that the suspects, all police officers, have been trying to strike an out-of-court settlement. Baltazar's mother, an overseas Filipino worker who is arriving today from Qatar, is adamant in filing a case. Baltazar was shot dead by cops who mistook him for a murder suspect. And there's just a little under 2 years left before the midterm elections, but an Opta Research survey shows that ACT-CIS Representative Erwin Tulfo is the top pick for senator in 2025. The younger Tulfo brother was selected by 73% of respondents. Rounding up the survey's top 5 are incumbent senators Bongo, Bato de la Rosa and Amy Marcos, and former Senate President Tito Soto. One News Now will be back at 6 p.m. with the day's latest stories. I'm Sean Yao. We are One News.